Hello everyone, welcome back to the Change Anchor series. Today, let us start with an image. So close your eyes if you can. Picture a master sculptor standing in front of an impressive statue. A statue made of marble, standing in the sun and shining. What does it look like? Beautiful, I guess. Now, watch that same master sculptor pick up a chisel and begins to destroy that statue. Not to reveal its beauty or to refine it in any way, just to destroy it. Chip by chip, strike by strike, day after day, week after week. What does it look like now? That is what selfishness has been doing to Africa. Selfishness has gradually and over the years taken away the trust that once held our communities together. The trust that our forefathers built through hard work. The trust that formed the foundation of our societies. Chipped it away relentlessly until what we have left today is wreckage. Let me tell you this, that has not always been our story. Let me take you back to pre-colonial Africa, when our forefathers used to live in thriving communities. When these communities needed a leader, heads of families and other key individuals would meet at the village square to carefully deliberate on pressing matters and to agree on the selection process. The pertinent questions they asked then were not who was the most popular, who was the richest, who had the most connection. The questions they asked then were these: who was going to take care of them? Who was going to protect the future of their children? Back then, leadership was earned through proven services to the people. Trust was not a luxury. Trust was the currency of good governance. But then came the disruption of colonization and slavery. But here is something I want you to understand and to properly take note of. The colonizers did not just come to take our resources. They did something even more treacherous. They corrupted our leadership selection process. The result of corrupting our leadership process was that only people willing to serve foreign interests were permitted to lead. Yes, they were called puppets, installed not by the people, but by colonial masters. So, imagine that the elder in your village, your uncle, or probably your brother that is supposed to represent you, protect you, not working for those that invaded our land. That is where the distrust began. And the first bitter lesson was this: realizing that the people or the persons that are supposed to lead are not there to represent you or protect you in any way. Yes, the colonizers were not finished. They had another weapon, and that was Western education. Now, let me be very clear. Not that education in itself is bad. We all know that knowledge is power. But the colonizers did not only introduce education to liberate the people. They introduced it as a tool for class warfare. Education became a tool for division instead of liberation. And what followed was very interesting, but also very sad. Our children grew ambitious, not ambitious to serve their communities, but to join the new elite class. They wanted to get as far away from the uncivilized villagers as possible. And those who saw through this deception, those who understood what was happening, stayed silent, just for the fear of being ridiculed or even being punished by the colonial masters. But here is the part that hurts the most. Those African brothers and sisters that had access to the new knowledge also had power to bridge the gap. Think about it. They could have interpreted the new knowledge back into local languages to lead their communities into enlightenment, but they did not. They chose to guard their privileges jealously. They chose to continue to widen the gap between those deemed civilized and the uncivilized masses they left behind. That betrayal continued to this day. Just look around you. So eventually, our African elites fought for independence. We celebrated the right, independence flag, national anthems, and supposed freedom went into the air. But let us be very honest about what really happened. The motivation for our African elites was not to return to communal values. All they wanted was access to power, not justice, just power. And so, selfishness was now fully enthroned as the new African operating system, an invisible code running at the background of every transaction, every relationship. Just look around you. Corruption is an app running on the new selfishness operating system. Tribalism is another app. Violence, insecurity are all apps running on the corrupted system. Africa now measures success by what you extract, not what you contribute. Our villagers, now called citizens, have finally been silenced. An Africa of extraction and betrayal continues to tighten its grip by each passing generation. Here is the truth. There is hope, and the hope is rooted in our own African soil. This is because West Central and Southern African societies practice a simple philosophy that the colonizers targeted for destruction. The philosophy was formalized and named Ubuntu in the 80s and in the 90s, although it existed long before then. The philosophy holds a simple revolutionary truth that says, I am because we are. Ubuntu teaches that your humanity is intimately tied to mine. It says that a person is a person through other people. Ubuntu prioritizes collective well-being rather than individual gain. It has shaped our approaches to justice, social harmony, and reconciliation. It has been globally popularized and integrated into legal framework. But you know what? Ubuntu is yet to penetrate where it matters the most, and that is the heart of individual Africans, the heart of African professionals, the heart of African entrepreneurs, and most importantly, the heart of African leaders. Why? Because selfish voters elect selfish leaders who then weaponize corruption, tribalism, religion, and violence to maintain power. After all, they paid for their votes. After all, they bought their offices. Why will they serve the people? So, it is a cycle, a vicious and destructive one. However, here is what I want us to know. Ubuntu has not given up on us yet. Ubuntu is calling for a fundamental change of heart, not just to save Africa today, but to guarantee its renaissance. Ubuntu is pointing us to a new operating system, an operating system called selflessness. Now, for this transformation to succeed, 4 groups must answer the call, and that is African individuals, African professionals, African entrepreneurs, and African leaders. However, we are going to be focusing on the first and most critical group, and that is you.